It's Ivy Slater, and you're listening to Her Success Story Podcast, a show where gutsy businesswomen share their success journey. Hello, listeners, and welcome to Her Success Story. My name is Ivy Slater, and today we have an amazing interview where I am interviewing Debbie Lynn Grace. I had the pleasure of meeting Debbie Lynn at a podcasting convention, and it was a matter of moments of knowing we hit it off, and we just kept the connection going. We went on to have a great conversation. I said, Debbie, we need to get you on Her Success Story, like not soon, now. And here's why, okay? So now you're going to listen to two women chat and actually an interview, but Debbie and I came from the same background. As most of you know who have been following me, I'm a printer. Well, Debbie came out of direct marketing, so she was my ideal client back in the day. She's a woman who has evolved, shifted her focus, re-identified who she is, and reconnected to our inner world, and is now hunkered in her business, truly talking and speaking and teaching and working with people in her sweet spot, in her light. And one of the things that I really love about Debbie is her ability to speak clearly, incredibly smartly, on the topic of business and intuition. And ladies out there, we all have a good gut. The question is, are we tapping into it? Are we stalling out and letting things spin? Are we being decisive? So when Debbie and I just jumped on the phone to chat for a few minutes, we ended up with an hour phone conversation. So welcome, Debbie Lynn. We're going to record most of our conversation today, and I know you and I in the future are going to keep this girl stuff going.
Yeah,
welcome, Debbie Lynn Grace, to Her Success Story.
Thanks so much. I'm excited. I really am excited. Thank you so much for having me.
You're so welcome. So I shared with our listeners that you're in marketing. You're a marketer. You're a brilliant woman, businesswoman. You're in the height of running a multi-million dollar marketing department as a woman, and that is a success in her own right. What was it? Somewhere around $4.5 million, if I remember you mentioning those numbers.
Yeah, it was a $4.5 billion financial institution. My own marketing budget was a couple million, which I'm sure a lot of people would love to have for their own marketing budget.
Oh, yeah. Sign me up.
Yes. Yeah.
And so then now all of a sudden, and I always say, so many of us, we don't wake up as a child and say, oh, this is what I want to do when I grow up. Most of us don't even graduate college, and we start doing one thing, and then we all of a sudden have that awakening. Oh my goodness, when I actually grow up, now this is what I'm going to do. Share a little bit about your awakening. How in the world did you one day start the business of working with successful and highly sensitive people, and what that's about?
Well, I always thought I was a conventional person, like you, being in marketing. So my background was relatively conventional in terms of my start was in marketing, and then I went into corporate marketing, and I worked for some marketing agencies. So, but I also come from a line of entrepreneurs. My grandfather was an entrepreneur and built, many, many, many successful businesses. And I kind of felt like that was a role model. And my dad was an entrepreneur, had his own law practice. And so when I worked at the agency, the marketing agency, I felt like that was sort of entrepreneurial also, because I was in charge of my own accounts and growing them and building them. And so it was a natural fit when I left the bank to start my own business. And of course, what did I decide to do? I wanted to be a marketing consultant. So that's what I started. I started a marketing consulting business.
That makes sense.
This was
perfect alignment, right?
Right back in the Stone Age when we didn't have websites. Hard to believe, right? In the mid 90s. And I wasn't long into, so I basically started my business literally with a business card. That's it. That's all I had. A business card. But I knew direct marketing. So I launched my business with one mailing to less than 100 people with a letter announcing my business. And that kind of launched my marketing consulting company. But I wasn't long into building that business. In fact, I was only a few months into it when I had an unexpected curveball. And as you know, as an entrepreneur and just in everyday life, you get hit with curveballs that you didn't see coming. And in this case, it came in the form of my marriage. Oh. And so one day my husband asked me for a divorce, and I thought my world was going to just end. I felt like my world ended just in that moment. And so when you hit those moments of vulnerability, you do what's normal, which is you turn to your support system, or at least that's what I did. And
I'm going to interrupt you for a second because I'm going to highlight some pearls as you share this story. Ladies, gentlemen who listen, when you are in those turning points, one of the things Debbie said is you turn to your support system. Most of us, I hope you know who your support system is. If you don't, please identify it, because these are great teaching points, Deb. Honestly, so you turn to your support system, which was...
my support system, and ironically, I turned to my older sister, Lisa. And now I have to say, now think about this, is the mid-90s. I'm a left brain, analytical, marketer, strategic thinker. My sister, Lisa, was about as far apart from that as you could get. She had never been in a corporate world in her life. She was, at that point, an energy worker, which was completely underground. The metaphysical world was very underground.
Especially in the 90s. People,
in the 90s, she's an intuitive.
Today it's like enlightenment and everybody's like, oh, of course.
Yeah, no, today it's common. It's commonplace. She was way ahead of her field. Nice. I didn't understand anything she did. I just didn't understand it. And so I turned to her and she said some magical words, because I said, I don't know if I'll ever wake up happy again. And all I want to do is know that it's possible for me to wake up happy again. And she said something that would literally change the course of my life, that really had everything to do with why I do what I do today. And at that moment, she said, it's time for you to learn what I do. Now, I couldn't think of anything more unusual for her to say. And I said, why would I do that? And she said, because it will help you heal. And it was a moment, it was a defining moment in my life that I put my faith in her, because all I wanted to do was heal and heal as fast as I can. And if this is her solution to healing, I was on board, but I certainly was not about to tell anybody what I was doing. Because I was...
No, we're not going to be one of those, crazies who do all this, that other woo stuff.
Yeah, I didn't want anybody to think I was woo-woo and a little strange like I thought she was. So I found myself at night learning this type of energy work called flow, alignment, and connection, which is basically... It means the ability to track energy flow in any situation or person and identify where there's a block and be able to facilitate the flow so the block is released. In business, that would look like a block, lack of clients, lack of profits, wrong marketing. Those are all energy blocks in a business. So I was learning this form of energy work to heal myself. That's the only reason I was doing it. And by day, I was building my marketing consulting business. Well, it was weird. The more I delved into this energy work, the faster my marketing business started to grow. It was almost magical. And one day I'm sitting in front of somebody, a brand new client, telling me their challenges with their business. And I'm listening to them, and in my head, I'm hearing a voice. And this voice is telling me some really interesting things about that person that's talking to me that had nothing to do with business. So I hear this voice in my head saying, ask them what happened to them when they were 5, because now they have a fear of this. It was really specific, telling me why their business is not doing well. And it had nothing to do with what they were saying to me. And I thought I was losing my marbles. Honest to God. I'm like, what is this voice? And why? And what are they talking about? So it kept happening until one day I couldn't take it anymore. It kept happening. Every time I'd be with a new client, I'd hear that voice would pipe up and start giving me information about the person sitting across from me. So one day I just blurted out. I blurted out in the middle of that person talking to me. And I said, I have to ask you, because I just have sort of an intuitive thought about something. And I blurted out what was going on in my head, like this information about that person. And the first time I did it, the person stopped talking, their jaw dropped, and then the tears started. And they're like, how could you know that about me? And then all of a sudden they started telling me all of their fears and all of their challenges and why it was so hard for them to build a business. And it happened over and over again. And so I had this new sort of gift, and I could start to tell what was going on with them. And I didn't know this was going to happen. I didn't know that my energy world and my business world were going to collide. And I kept moving forward and using that sort of gift. And what was interesting is after they would have that sort of release of energy in my sessions with them, their business would start to explode before they even did anything. Like I would give them very specific marketing advice, but in many cases, they actually saw an increase in their business in 24 hours before they even did anything. Because what happened is they were out of alignment. Right. And that energy release put them personally into alignment after releasing that energy block. So that kind of led me onto a journey of using more of my spiritual intuitive sense in my actual consulting business. But I didn't know it was going to take a bigger turn because
so
I wasn't
about this bigger turn. Because so then you started taking the work that you were doing with that you honed in from doing with your sister Lisa and allowed it to show up in your business, and
Yes.
you saw your clients shifting consistently.
Yes.
And then the next aha came.
Well, the next aha came was, I wish I could tell you, Ivy, that especially since my background, and I know your background is also strategic marketing, right? Strategic thinking.
Strategic business plans.
Yeah, strategic business plans, right? So that's my background. Well, there was nothing about this path that was strategic. That's kind of the joke on me. It's kind of like the ironic part about it. So I really was hiding. Now, hiding meaning I was speaking out in public. I was speaking worldwide on stages around the world. I was now published in a lot of magazines at that point. My business was growing. I love speaking in front of audiences. And, but I didn't tell anybody anything about my energy gift, about my intuition, about this information I was getting in my head. I didn't say word one about it because I was hiding. I was afraid that I would lose my following. And then it all shifted when I wrote my book, Outrageous Business Growth. And that was in 2004. And
okay.
I
just want to highlight, so Debbie's book she wrote in 2004 is Outrageous Business Growth.
Right.
And that was a catalyst for the next turn.
It was kind of the catalyst for the next turn in that I got very guided that I was about to start teaching spiritual work. And I thought, there's no way. I'm not doing that. I mean,
I'm not going to be one of those wacky people.
I'm not going to do it.
I'm a business person.
Yeah, nobody was even in 2004. It's kind of crazy how different the world is today. Unfortunately, I'm very happy the world is different today. But it was actually the biggest turning point was 2007. In 2007, that voice not only came back, but it came back loud and clear. And I woke up one morning and I heard the voice in my head said, go to your computer and turn it on. And I jumped out of bed without any more thought, went to my computer, turned it on. My fingers started to fly across the keyboard. And I found myself typing an email to my subscriber list. And by now, I literally had a following all over the world. I've been teaching online courses on marketing. Right. And I'm typing this email. My fingers are moving on their own volition. And out this email comes and says, I'm going to share my personal story I've never shared before in public. And I'm going to share with you how it's going to help you create the success that you want in your life. And I'm going to give a free 3-part teleseminar series. And then I hit send. And, Ivy, I know you do some amazing interviews. I've listened to some of your interviews with some amazing people. And I think for any entrepreneur, and even somebody that's not an entrepreneur, I think there are times in our life where we have an opportunity to hit send and reveal something about ourselves in public that we never thought we would do. And that was the moment that I revealed who I really was in public. And I hit send, and that changed the course of my life.
And there's a little something there. It doesn't matter if you're in corporate, it doesn't matter if you're a business owner, if you're a professional, it's showing up, it's all of a sudden uncovering or stepping into a piece and allowing others to see your true authentic self.
Yeah, exactly. And I had been fighting that because I thought my authentic self is my expertise. It's my marketing expertise. That's my authentic self. And it started to feel really uncomfortable because I felt like there was a big piece of myself I was holding back and not sharing with the world, when in fact it was really contributing not only to my own success, but to the success of my clients. So I told my personal story, the same one that I've just shared with you, out loud. And I thought that was the end of my business. Honestly, I gave that teleseminar and I hung up and I thought,
okay, close the doors, I'm done.
I'm done. I thought I would be flooded with emails saying, unsubscribe. What are you talking about? Spiritual and soul and, what is this energy work? What is this? And I did get flooded with emails. I did. And it was 100% different than what I thought I would have. Instead, I got email after email that said, thank you for sharing your personal story, because now I finally have the courage to speak my truth and to share my story out loud in public. And from then on in, I made a commitment. I made a commitment to, you can call it God, universe, higher self, whatever it is you want to call it. I made a commitment that wherever the universe was going to take me, it clearly was not where I thought I was going, and I was going to say yes. And from then on
what happened from there? So everybody's like, okay, I'm in. Okay,
I'm in.
Yeah, right? I could do woo. Woo's kind of cool. I respect, and part of the thing is, you already gained a tribe that know, like, and trusted you.
Yes.
So when we hone a tribe that know, likes, and trusts us, in whatever it is we're doing, whether we're going from director to a vice president in an organization, when you gain that support of your peers, of the people who are following you, of know, like, and trust, you can then lead them. And where have you now in this journey, in the pilgrimage, where are we today?
Well, what I started to do is I started to straddle. So I was still teaching some online business courses, but I also started to teach mindset. I started to teach being more in alignment with your intuition. I started to straddle more personal development, type of programs. And then about 3 years ago, and unbeknownst to me, of course, what do you think I attracted? I attracted a bunch of people that are energy workers and healers and life coaches and consultants and speakers. And they all have one thing in common. They're all highly sensitive. They're born empathic. They're born highly sensitive. And me as an energy worker, I've become more sensitive. My sensitivities have become more heightened because I have to rely on that to do the work I actually do. I'm tuning into people. I'm reading things about them that they don't even know about themselves. And that really helps them shift. And so I had developed a whole bunch of really tools to help really be able to thrive on a daily basis. And so I woke up one day and I thought, here's the thing. I might as well teach a class just for highly sensitive people on how to really take care of themselves, because whether they're in the corporate world or they're entrepreneurs or they're even retired, if they don't know how to take care of themselves on a daily basis, nothing's going to work. Their relationships won't work, their job won't work, their career won't work. And so I just threw out a class on it and it exploded. Like, I had no idea.
David, do me a favor. Just make sure that microphone is close to your mouth.
Oh.
Because you're going in. I know I know you, so I know. Oh my God, Debbie's in her passion moment.
Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes, I can. Thank you.
Yeah, sorry about that. So so everything sort of exploded. My business exploded in a great way, and I had 12, 15,000 people go through my webinars over the last 3 years.
Nice.
I've had 1,000 people, going through my courses. It really took off. Now, the ironic thing about this, Ivy, is I look to the universe, I go, is this where you're taking me? Because this was not on my agenda. Like, nowhere was this on my agenda.
Right.
I've learned that the universe puts me on an as need to know basis.
I feel you. I have to tell you something though. I didn't realize it was 2007. That was your transition, because that was the same year of mine when it all started for me. And I find, we just found so many things in alignment when we've chatted. And that was a new thing, ladies and gentlemen, that I just learned. Wow.
Yeah.
So in looking at this, right?
Yeah.
There's been a hell of a lot of surprises to you.
Right.
There's been a hell of a lot of surprises to you. But sitting now in 2018, right? 11 years later, and you're grown this business. If you look back just recently, what are some of the recent surprises that you're seeing today?
For myself?
For yourself.
I think the change in direction for my business was a surprise. I thought I was just going to teach another class and then move on with whatever else I had done. And I think that was a pretty significant change. And, I find that every day I have learned, how do I put this? It used to be that my left brain analytical, which is nothing wrong with that, strategic thinker, because it certainly still helps me in my life. Obviously, I still have to market my business. That always took the lead. That's my strength. That always took the lead. That's how I, created plans for my business, what I wanted to do. And that no longer takes the lead. I think the biggest shift I've seen for myself is that everything is guided by my intuition. All of my decisions, what I teach, who I teach, what programs I create, what I'm going to do next, and where I'm being led is 100% guided. My business is guided by my inner guidance, and which will always override my left brain analytical. So there are times I even surprise myself.
So when we look at, I'm going to say, I would like to say, and please tell me I'm wrong. We all have intuition.
Yes.
Do some of us tap into it more than others? What have you seen and learned from it, from working with us?
Yeah, I think that everybody has an intuition. Everybody's got a sixth sense. I think a lot of people have more of a relationship. Most people have a relationship with, it just happens on an occasion where all of a sudden they're in a situation and they get a gut instinct about something and they follow it, or they override it and then they regret overriding it, but they're really clear that it happened. I am now so in tuned that I call it forth. In other words, I think that's the biggest difference. And that is something that requires a lot of really listening in and understanding what's true guidance and what's you just making up stories in your head, and knowing what the difference is. And that took a while for me. I would like, I got a lot of intuition. It's very easy for me because I'm an intuitive. So for my clients, it's very easy for me to tune into things for them, give them answers. And I have a pretty good sound track record, a very sound track record with them. For myself, your intuition is something you have to really engage in a way that you can distinguish whether it's you just making up stuff in your head and when it's really a sound. So I sort of use a couple of tips, if this helps, if you want me to help,
Yes.
listeners, there's a couple of tips I would give somebody to have a clear understanding of which one it is, right?
Okay.
If you're going back and forth in your head, that's not your intuition. Your intuition does not speak with back and forth.
Okay. So it doesn't go back and forth in your head. When we're going back and forth and making a decision, we're going back and forth. Yeah. Should I eat this or should I eat that? Should I go here or should I go there?
Right. That's not your intuition talking. That's just your ego. That's your ego inside, your personality talking. If your intuition speaks to everybody differently. Sometimes it's literally, you find yourself doing something with no thought at all, and it's something that's out of the norm. Sometimes, so one thing is to start really documenting when you really are clear it's your intuition, you followed it, how did it show up for you? So sometimes I get very specific information in my head and I wasn't looking for that information. So I'm clear. I know that's my intuition. Sometimes it's a feeling, or I'll find myself doing something and making a decision that's completely out of the blue, but it can be life-changing for me. So I've learned how my intuition talks to me. So that's the first thing I would say is just go back to all the times that you did have a gut instinct or you did have an intuitive thought and you followed it and it was spot on and there was nothing logical about it, and remember how it communicated with you.
Okay.
So that's one good way. The second good way is to know, because I'm an energy worker, I'm very in tuned to my body. And so I am skilled in tracking energy flow, knowing I like, where's the opening of energy? And for me, the opening of energy is when all of a sudden I'm breathing easy. I'm just like, I make a decision about something. It's like, my whole body relaxes. So that's when I know, and I'm never wrong. When that happens, I'm never wrong.
So it's almost like your body, you've made the decision and your body releases that stored energy.
Yeah. I mean, or actually, I usually feel that release of energy before I actually make the decision. That's how I know it's the right decision.
Okay.
When you've got an ease. And so if you make a decision and you say to yourself, look, whatever happens, it's going to be fine. And your whole body relaxes and you make a decision, you're pretty clear. You're now in alignment, and you can move on, and knowing that however it turns out, it's probably going to turn out, the right way. But a lot of people have to make decisions that aren't such great decisions. They're not decisions about, things they love. They're actually stuck with a decision that neither option or any option doesn't feel really good. And, your intuition can come into play no matter what the rules are. But when
you actually breathe and listen to it.
Yeah, you got to make sure that your body is relaxed so you can hear it or feel it, however it comes to you. And once you start to be able to learn how your body communicates with you and how your intuition communicates with you, you'll have a better relationship with it. You'll be much more trusting of it.
I like that. I like it a lot. And, whether I'm working with business owners, entrepreneurs, people in corporate, the stress that people take on in the decision-making process it breaks my heart, truly, when I see people hone in and they grab onto this stress because, oh my goodness, I have to decide, or I have to, and to be able to tap into your intuition, to be able to breathe through it, listen to what I'll refer to as your gut, and trust it.
Yeah.
Is such an important piece to the way we live, and in living business and life situations. It doesn't matter which side of the coin it's on, because there is decisions in both places. Love that, Debbie. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah.
So tell me, how could Her Success Story listeners know more about you, learn more about you, check in with things, follow you like I do?
Thank you. You can just go to my website, DebbieLynnGrace.com, DebbieLynnGrace.com. And I have a bunch of free resources. There's a free audio on prosperity. And, please check it out and, download all the free stuff that's on there. It'd be great. And it's the best way for them to get a hold of me.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, check out DebbieLynnGrace.com. That is DebbieLynnGrace.com. You will see it also in the show notes. You definitely want to check it out. First of all, it's a beautifully done site. Second, I know before I even, when I first met Debbie Lynn, I said, I'm just going to take a glance at the website. And like 30 minutes later, I'm like looking at different things saying, whoa, this is great. I got to check this out. So take that 2 minutes, then come back and take the 10, 15 minutes and really take advantage of some of her free resources. Check out what she's about and how to use your inner voice, your gut instinct to bring ease to your life whether it be your business side, your personal side, because the answers are always, my belief, is within us. Debbie Lynn Grace, thank you so much for being a guest on Her Success Story.
Oh, thank you. Boy, the time went by, really quickly, and I love having conversations with you. Thank you so much for inviting me.
You're welcome. And remember to check out any back episodes and leave a review. Let Debbie Lynn and I know what you think of these interviews and what you want more of. So check us out on iTunes, Libsyn, Binge, and a variety of other networks out there that you could always find Her Success Story and Ivy Slater on. Thank you again for being a guest, and stay tuned for the more episodes on its way.